guy Bendu coming at y'all with another video today. And as you saw in the thumbnail, man, I'm doing a squad video today. But this one is specifically going to be in tandem with another story that I wanted to talk about as well, which is this recent ban on products coming out of the Xinjiang region. So it's very fascinating to see this happen. Obviously the Cold War against China is it's hot right now. With the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, diplomatic, so Americans are still going to compete, but government officials aren't going to be there. They're not going. So, and this is the imperial plan, and the squad is following right along with it as usual. We saw them vote in favor of Israel time and time again. We saw AOC condemning Cuba. We see this all the time. They ran on these anti-imperialist platforms. It didn't actually fucking mean it. And a lot of people were calling it out earlier. Calling it out early. Anya Parampil was calling it out. A lot of people were. So let's go ahead and get into this slideshow I put together for y'all. I'll put it together with a couple different articles. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I'll link the articles down below as well, as usual. All right. House passed. So this is from CNN Politics. House passes bill blocking imports of products produced by forced labor. China's Xinjiang region. They're just repeating it as usual by Ellie Kaufman. A bill that will prevent the U.S. from importing goods produced using forced labor by Uyghurs and other minority Muslim populations in the Xinjiang autonomous region of China passed the House on Wednesday evening. The vote was 428-1. Republican Thomas Massie was the only member to vote against it. That again, this is the guy that voted against the CARES Act. This is the guy that voted against the CARES Act when AOC was lying, saying that she did. And it's very crazy. It's very funny to see this going on because he votes the way AOC and the squad should on a lot of issues. I'm sure there's a lot of issues I don't agree with Thomas Massie on, but when it comes to a lot of important shit, he seems to be on the right side, and AOC is constantly on the wrong side, and the squad are constantly on the wrong side. So the measure will also impose sanctions on those responsible for human rights violations there, the bill summary states. Under the legislation, new restrictions will be placed on imports from Xinjiang by U.S. Customs and Border Protection to ensure that goods produced through forced labor by Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and Kyrgyz and members of other minority groups will not be purchased or sold in the United States. The legislation requires president. So are we going to start banning oil that the United States steals from other countries after they murder their people and bomb the fuck out of their country? Are we going to start doing that as well? The legislation requires President Joe Biden to provide a list of individuals responsible for forced labor of these groups. Are we going to stop purchasing oil from Saudi Arabia as well? Including any official of the government of the People's Republic of China, and to impose economic sanctions on them. The House version of the bill states, the measure will further prevent individuals identified as responsible for these human rights abuses from getting visas or admission to the United States. The House also passed a resolution on Wednesday condemning the ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity being committed against Uyghurs and members of other minority religious and ethnic groups in China. The resolution passed 427-1 with Massie again, the only dissenting vote. Every member of the squad voted for that. Every member of the squad voted for imperialism. Senator fuckboy Marco Rubio, a Republican from Florida, put a hold on the Senate version of the National Defense Authorization Act last week. So he doesn't put a hold on the bill to make an argument saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be spending this much on military. His argument is, essentially, I want to spend more on this Cold War for China. That's literally what he's arguing for, because this Cold War with China is going to involve upping the budget. That is the whole point of the Cold War against China, to make more money for the military industrial complex. So the people that Marco Rubio doesn't pretend to talk against the military industrial complex. He's all for it. He's all for coups in Cuba. He's all for coups in Nicaragua, Venezuela. Name any fucking country that's under Iran. He's all for it. He's a fucking warmonger. But a lot of the Trump right, the MAGA people like to say they're anti-imperialist, but then double down on bullshit like this. Threatening to maintain his hold on the must-pass legislation until the Uyghur bill, which he is the sponsor of, was taken up for a vote in the House, or an amendment with similar provisions was added to the defense measure. Ultimately, a provision regarding Uyghurs was also added to the defense bill. The provision prevents Department of Defense funds from being used to buy any products mined, produced, or manufactured wholly or in part by forced labor in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region of China, the bill states. Now, y'all know I covered this story a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to add it on here because this is what the squad is voting for. This is what AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, all of them, Jamal Bowman, all of them. This is what Cori Bush, all of them are voting for. So this is Max Blumenthal's story about the situation in Xinjiang and how it was a shakedown. Xinjiang shakedown. U.S. anti-China lobby cashed in on forced labor campaign that cost Uyghur workers their jobs. So when you ban shit coming in from this region, it's not going to be profitable for them to make shit in that region no more, because it's going to get banned. They're going to get sanctioned, all types of bullshit that comes with it. So they're either going to stop hiring Uyghurs, or the businesses are going to leave the region all fucking together. And this is actually hurting the Uyghurs. This is actually hurting their livelihood and their lives. A campaign against supposed forced labor in Xinjiang has forced Uyghur workers out of their jobs while extracting a handsome payout from a U.S. apparel company to Uyghur exile groups lobbying against China. So not only are they taking people's jobs here in the United States with fucking bullshit mandates and shit like that, they're also going to other fucking people's countries and taking their jobs as well. And you have dipshit leftists, people of the same thought of fucking people like AOC advocating for lockdowns to take people's jobs here. Now they're all for taking people's jobs in China on a precipice of human rights. So it's for your health here in the United States. We want to take away your ability to make a living here in the United States for your fucking health, for a virus, that barely kills people. That kills, I think it was like 0.05% of people between the ages of like 20 and 79 that died from COVID. It's insanity, but you also want to go to somebody else's fucking country and steal their livelihood on the precipice of human rights. You could take your human rights and shove it up your fucking ass, okay? That's what you can do. The accusations of slavery or the use of forced labor come from ASPI, an Australian group. So this section is from another article for another story I covered. I'm gonna put the two stories that I did about this at the end of the video, and when the video pops up and more videos from American Autopsy, I'll put it at the end card. I'll put it there. But this is from another article that I covered. I'm gonna link it down below. An Australian group best known for locating compounds by using Google Maps and alleging that they are concentration camps. So a lot of those concentration camps that they're saying have been identified to actually be like fucking high schools, grocery stores, all types of public facilities and shit like that. And literally the guy they were using to do this, they literally some fucking dumbass nerd gamer. They just locked them in a room and had them going through Google Maps. It's fucking insanity, bro. If these were allegations made against the United States, it wouldn't even be talked about. At no point did ASPI contact the Yangs or any staff from the Hong Kong garment firm before making the accusations that resulted in it being placed on a blacklist that triggers seriously harmful trade restrictions, i.e., prevents it hurts the Uyghurs from getting jobs in this region, because there's going to be no businesses that want to work in that region because everything's going to be fucking sanctioned in the region or banned. Some international firms in Xinjiang have become reluctant to hire Uyghur staff, fearing that they will be unfairly blacklisted. This reporter met one international products buyer, an American, who says he now has to ask companies in China whether they have Uyghur staff, and he feels bad doing so, but he needs to anticipate possible negative reaction from overseas. Xinjiang business operators to whom this reporter has spoken say that in an area of 13 million people, there are bound to be cases of friction if journalists want to seek them out. But the overall picture of the province being a nightmarish network of concentration camps and slave farms is a grotesque distortion. You'll find more tension between workers and officials in downtown St. Louis or Detroit A Hong Kong businessman said, this is from the Max Blumenthal article again. Whoever sponsored, that's the World Rights Consortium or something like that. I forgot what exactly what it was called, but whoever sponsored the WRC's advocacy, its outcome raises questions about the moral concerns that U.S. human rights NGOs have expressed for Uyghur workers inside China. Rather than directly assisting the supposed victims of Chinese government abuses, self-proclaimed human rights groups appear to be eliminating their jobs in droves on the basis of dubious allegations, and at least in one case, shaking down their former employers for a lucrative payout. In other words, blackmail. So again, I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to bring that up because this is what the left has resorted to. You know, they're doubling down on imperialism and masking it in human rights. This is how they package imperialism to leftists. This is exactly how they do it. And the squad is going right along, and all of their little minions and the independent media press are going right along with it. And it's crazy. Again, Americans, you're being duped again. Remember incubator babies. Remember Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin, all this bullshit, like over and over again, they lie to you to get you into a war, and Americans fall for it over and over again. At what point are you falling for it, or do you actually are you actually bloodthirsty maniacs? And that's what a lot of the rest of the world thinks about you. They don't think you're falling for it. Go talk to people around the world. They don't think you're falling for it. They don't think you're being duped. They think all Americans are bloodthirsty maniacs. They think most Americans are like John Bolton. Most Americans are like Dick Cheney, George Bush. That's how they view Americans. Because constantly Americans are always in support of these wars and in support of these government overthrows. So, and when you have people like me, you know, when you have people like Chris Hedges, when you have people like Danny Haiphong, Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Matei, Eva Bartlett. It's another girl I wanted to call. I wanted to name too. She talks about Syria a lot. I'm drawing a blank on her name right now. Anya Parampil. They get tossed to the wayside, lose their careers. You know, we all know famously Chris Hedges got fired from the New York Times for his opposition to the Iraq War. You see how they treat Max Blumenthal. You see how they treat people like somebody like Whitney Webb, who calls out Israel's crimes all the time. They treat her like she's some crazy cat lady because she tells the truth about other shit too. It's insanity, man. It's insanity. Insanity, and that's literally the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. So again, man, like, Americans, I'm begging you, stop being fucking dupes. Stop being dupes to imperialism. Because it affects everybody around the world, not just you. And it's nothing much more I can say about this, man. It's insanity. Like, this whole, you know, and the squad, they're just going right along with it, just like they went right along with the Israel votes and everything. You see AOC tap dancing for Israel all the time in her district. You know, fucking what's his name, bitch ass Jamal Bowman. You see how he tap dances for Israel. It's insanity, man. It's crazy. So y'all, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close the video out there. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Emphasis on the comments, because I like to hear what you guys are saying. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. Peace.